In this riveting video, you will learn the story that shook the foundations of my marriage. My wife cheats on me without remorse, but offers me an incredible deal. Get ready for some amazing developments, secrets, and experiences that will determine our fate. Good afternoon to all. I am 35 years old, my wife is 5 years younger than me, and we have been married for 14 years. And yes, that's right. If you've had time to count, it was when she was 16 that she married me. As it happened, maybe that's what affected what happened next. Didn't see the youth, didn't get enough of it, didn't know all the delights of life. The thing is that when I met her, I did not know how old I really was, and she was not even 16. I knocked up a girl and went into the army, and then her father arrives right in the unit, so and so, or straight to prison, a shitty article, or to the registry. He says that when the child is born, he is going to dissuade me from the army and has connections, but also, of course, to ensure a hellish life in the zone, and he has his own levers for this too. Well, in short and general, I went to demobilize before the deadline. Love, I say, came with time. The girl is not bad, beautiful, but a little spoiled. She gave birth at 16, we got married, love came with time. The wedding was lavish, all these years I worked like an ox. We bought a nice apartment, 5 years later the second child was born. I will say at once, we lived well. Everything as in the usual such an average family. Did not drink, the women did not drag, never offended, neither her nor children. Many people write, and many say that cheating changes in women. There is a mood, attitude, there is a coldness, refusals of intimacy, and also that she becomes irritable. Well, I tell you, this is nonsense, a myth. I did not notice anything of this kind in her behavior, and if it were not for the accident, it probably still would not have learned anything. Many men wear horns for years, and happily ever after, home, I dropped in just for a minute to get a certificate from work, and then he was dressed, young and very puppy. The children were not home. Thank God, of course, wanted to kill him right there. But she threw a robe, stood between us, and so unperturbed, calm tone said, "Do not touch him." He did not blame. Take what you came for and go to work, and we'll talk tonight. By the way, friends, I hasten to dispel another myth. It is that the first desire is to pounce on the adulteress and deal with her. Hell no. And I at that moment experienced such a strong shock. It's like a 380 volts hit. I certainly do not know, but I suspect that this is it, and it hit right on the head. My legs just carried me out of the apartment. And that's all. Come stones? You're like, look, do not do anything stupid. Do not be stupid. Come home. I wanted to go back only to throw her out of the apartment. But how can you explain it to children? I came back, not in the car, overnight of course, and to the same cold. My parents live in another region. Another shock was waiting for me at home. The table was set as usual, dinner prepared, the older doing homework, the youngest watching cartoons, and then I transmit our conversation with her. Well, I'm waiting, talk to her, and the answer. And what do you want to hear? I say, how do we go on living now? That's probably what I want to hear. You do not think? No. And again the answer is the same, calm, unperturbed tone. And that you, dear, bad life. I am fed, cleaned, pampered. There are no problems with my personal life. No problems with intimacy. The children are taken care of. What else do you need? If you want a divorce, well, I will not tell you, let's divorce. But my dear, I want to remind you, dear, that this is my apartment as well. And I am not going to leave here, at all. If you have somewhere to go, well, you're not in slavery to me. I'll even help you pack. Go to your parents in the village, and I ask her why. Just tell me why. What am I to blame? And she answers me in the same calm tone. Oh, please, do not dramatize, and no one is not to blame for anything. That's life, you understand. I am not your property, and my body does not belong to you. The fact that I do not love you, and for a long time, you know it yourself well, and you love him, I asked. She answered, "It is not funny. But in addition to love, there are also obligations, family, years of life, joint household, children in the end. You decide to have someone on the side. Please, I do not mind. Just do not bring the disease into the house, and do not waste the family budget on them." "Okay, Dieter, you want to leave. You have every moral right to do so. I understand you, honestly. You decide to stay, I will only be glad. And the kids will be happy, clean, fed, as always of course. About affection and intimacy, you know me. I will never refuse, you decide. That's how it was. And most interestingly, I now destroy the third stereotype. No snot, no humiliation, no routine sorry, no kissing feet, nothing, not to mention repentance. I have not even apologized. I have not made a decision yet. And in fact, this creature is right about something, yes, that in addition to emotions there are also obligations. I really do not want my children to grow up in a broken home. And in case of divorce, she, and indeed, is unlikely to marry, and I really have nowhere to go in the village where my parents live. There is no work at all, only pensioners, to divide the apartment. Well, I do not know. This is again deprive the children, and I'm unlikely to earn a new one at the moment. For her part, she swore that the house will not bring anyone else, and in terms of loyalty said that until both are under 18, she is not going to destroy the family, and that she will not have anyone on the side. She said she could not promise. Here's the deal. What do you say? What to do something? Thank you in advance, dear listeners. I want to thank you for watching this video, as well as for putting your likes, dislikes, subscribe to the channel, and in general, look at us, watching videos and listening to some stories. Now on to the second story. In this exciting video, I will tell you a story that will open your eyes to the topic of cheating on your wife, or enjoying the goodies from a coworker. Get ready for shocking revelations, intricate intrigue, and unexpected twists of fate. Go forth into a world of amazing stories and dramatic events. I am 33 years old. I moved to another city for a new job. I rent an apartment, working, doing what I love. Before moving, there were broken relations with my ex-girlfriend. And now the essence of my life story. I work in a company in a supervisory position. I have employees under me who, as it happens in our company, move from one department to another. It just so happens that my current girlfriend moved to work in my department. And she and I fell in love with each other. It was wonderful. I felt then that I had found my own person, who was like me, but at the same time we were so different. The feelings of love were getting in the way of my work, and I simply couldn't focus on anything but her. All of that is still there now, to be honest. I still love her. There was also another young man in my department at our company, but he was 10 years older than me. And so my girlfriend began to tell me that she likes him as a friend. From her words, they are similar in character. They are both hot-tempered and find topics to talk about. At first, this communication between them was completely friendly, like colleagues with colleagues, nothing more. And I was starting to get worried about it by then. And by the way, I told my girlfriend about my worries that I didn't like her talking to him. I could see that this man was beginning to take an unhealthy interest in her. We started having arguments against this background. All of this went on for about 2 to 3 months. We had a fight and didn't communicate with each other at all for 3 days. After those days, we met and resumed communication. We did not have intimate relations. Before the new year, I began to notice in her locker gifts from this man. Not trivial, but gifts. I asked her what it is, why do you allow the gifts, and most importantly, accept them? To which I got an answer, so what's the big deal? Just goodies from a colleague at work. I went to find out what it is and why, and most importantly, what he does it for. What he told me surprised me. He informed me that he had fallen in love with her and would pursue her. Fighting, talking. Nothing helped. It was useless. He kept on giving her presents, she kept on accepting them and pretending. as if on purpose, that there was nothing to it. In the meantime, she and I kept seeing each other. She kept telling me that he was just a friend and that she had never had such friends, that she could not give him up so easily. But supposedly she would negate communicating with him after some time. And yes, really, the gifts stopped, the talking on the phone stopped. I kind of forgot the story with this man, but then they started communicating again. Even at some points I thought she was favoring him over me in her communications. That's how it was though. Who am I kidding? It was repeating itself all over again. I tell her I'm not comfortable with it. She stops communicating with him for a while, and then again. I have to hand it to her. She never hid anything from me. Always told me everything to my face and only the truth. And during the times when they weren't talking to each other, she would always tell me how bad she felt, how she was thinking about him. I tried to be supportive and tell her that it would pass. It seemed to pass. I breathed a sigh of relief, but there was no way to stop communicating completely since we work in the same place. All three of us. I was terribly jealous of her all this time to him, and he was apparently jealous of me to her. And at one point she informs me, "What do you think?" That yes, she is pregnant. I was naturally delighted as I thought the baby was mine, but alas no, the baby was his. I started to ask her how and when it happened. According to her, at 3 days when we were not communicating. And then I got the whole picture. Why was she being so nice to him? What was all the gifts and courtship from? I thought I was going to go crazy with the flow of thoughts and the flow of disappointment. By the way, we continue to be together. She is pregnant with his baby and will naturally give birth. She hasn't told him. Even though she's 6 months pregnant, she wants to do it. I, on the other hand, don't. I am ready and want to be together with her. I want our children together in the future. I want to love her. But the thought that her baby is from a man who hates me gnaws. If she tells him everything, then it turns out that we will be tied to him forever. I'm a reasonable person, and I know that telling him is the right thing to do. But I don't want to do that. This man has no family, no children. He is a bachelor. Dear author, I am ready to declare, on behalf of all our listeners, that he is a bachelor and you are a dear. Honestly, friends, said that, and now, really, on the soul began to feel better, because the previous 6 minutes of history, I had to make a great effort to not give it all up halfway, remove the track, and start writing a new, different story. And I have some interesting ones there, by the way. Very good ones, actually. But let me make a final effort on myself already, go back to the story and share my opinion. First of all, I'm pretty sure the story isn't real. There are quite a lot of inconsistencies in it, and I won't name them now. But let's make sure that if you notice something, write in the comments, at least have some fun with the story, please. And if the matter is, how noble you, the author, you were cheated on. Moreover, your opinion was not taken into account in any way, from the word go. And in the end, the girl stumbled and made a mistake and got knocked up. Oh wow, that's new. And at the same time, you are ready to turn a blind eye to all this, and the only thing you care about is to tell the father of the baby the truth or not. I understand it correctly now. Friends, correct me in the comments if something is wrong. But it seems I understand everything correctly, yes. Just some geometry, quadrics in a circle, so that a quadrangle is formed. And isn't there a random fourth character in that triangle, which is actually why I brought it up. Maybe you don't know everything yet. Author, don't you have any dignity? Here I am wondering here such a question. You were betrayed, cheated on you, still want to be with her after all that happened, and you consider yourself a reasonable person. But on the other hand, judge with me, friends, and now if she is born with twins, for example, in fact, it is quite possible that one child by the author and the second child by that other guy. Well, it turns out so, if you believe in the logic of our hero. In general, what a horror. I feel as if I have entered into this story, and here she is on my shoes further and further, and reminds me of herself with every breeze. Go, author, It is better to see a doctor, publish the tests necessarily, because you have a very reliable partner. With her you can be calm, she can be trusted. You can sit on a park bench too, and other people will always sit on it. It will never be just your bench, and other people will use it too. Dear ladies, dear beloved women who are listening to this story, I apologize for such a low and primitive metaphor, but that's the one that came to mind. So author, if you are ready to sit on the bench, of course, only when it is free, and no one is using it at that time. No one is sitting on it, then you're fine. You're good. You're good. Super. Keep it up, and you will be happy, our protagonist. But seriously speaking, and if you want only you sit, get your own personal, unusual, individual, noble, dignified, expensive, exclusive, the very one understand and hear me, author, your bench, your home. That's it, the whole secret of happiness. Glad you were with us. Subscribe to the channel, put a like under this video. See you soon.